And welcome back to the Money Hungry Mama. I am so excited because tonight I have Carol with me. Carol, take it away.
Hi, Brittany. It's so nice to be back with you. I've known Brittany for a hot minute, and I am a retired stay-at-home mom of 20 years, turned indie author. Finally living out that dream. I kind of put those. I've always wanted to be an author, and I mean, literally since I was a kid, and was staying up past my bedtime, reading my Judy Blume books, and I just have always wanted to write stories like that. I did put all of those dreams on hold when I became a mom and just dedicated myself 110 to my children who became college athletes. So if you can imagine what that was like from the time they were 6, I was driving them around everywhere and being a team mom and all the things. And now it's my turn. And so I'm leaning into this dream of mine to become an indie author, which I did a couple of times over. But now, I mean, I kind of genre hopped a little bit, and it was necessary. It's a longer story. But I'm now leaning into the genre that I've always wanted to write in, which is new adult romance.
Love it. Okay, so first off, I love that you're chasing your dream. Like, yes, you did your whole momly duty. And I feel like, now we're starting to see, especially social media, opened us up to so many moms that are doing both. And I think, it's needed and it shows how much and how important it is for us to do both, to chase our dreams and also be great moms. So I love that you did not give up this dream and you're still going after it. So, Carol, you actually started in nonfiction because you yourself are a breast cancer survivor. Then you turned into children's books, which is how you and I met. And now you are in fiction. Tell
Yes.
us, what made you write Chemo Pissed Me Off?
Well, when I came out of that, use the term loosely, fog of being a stay-at-home mom and just being like, I mean, pretty much I operated an iPhone for 20 years, right? And just drove my car, and that's what I did, and volunteered in classrooms and things like that. But when I came out of that fog, my husband and I had the conversation of, what do you want to do now? Would you like to go back and finish your degree? Do you want to go back and get back into being an executive assistant, which is what I did before I retired? And he said, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? Yes, I married a green flag. Any of my
Love it.
roommates, readers out there know exactly what that is. But anyway, I said, well, if I could do anything I wanted to do, I would write and publish books. And he said, then figure out how to do that. And so I started learning all I could, because back in the day before children, Amazon wasn't a thing.
Mhm.
You had to get an agent. You had to get someone to say yes to you. I didn't need that anymore. So I went all in on indie publishing, learning how to do all the things. And then I took a little detour and got breast cancer. So the first book I ended up writing was Chemo Pissed Me Off, because it sure did. It really was
Yeah.
inconvenient. It wasn't the plan. All the things. So, and then I spent 2 years going through, treatment and reconstruction and all the things. And so, the second nonfiction book I wrote was a follow-up to that, called Boobs Are Overrated. It was about my reconstruction experience. And let me tell you, reconstruction is a heck of a commitment to boobs, but I digress. The cool thing I did while I was going from surgery to surgery and spending a lot of downtime recovering is I wrote a children's book series, which is compliments of my children, because it was a story I told them when they were growing up. It's how it started. It was based on some silly nicknames that my best friend's dad gave my kids. And the characters are Mad Dog and a Lizard, right? Very strange names. The lizard name is after my youngest, Alyssa. And at the time she was 3. And she's like, well, my older one thought Mad Dog was the coolest thing ever. My younger one was like, I don't like lizards. I don't really like this name. And so, I didn't want to offend the dad. So I just started spinning this tale about this grumpy dog he was pissed at the world because his only friend was a lizard. And so when I was just down and out, and not to take this dark turn, but anyone who's had cancer knows, like, it's at some point on that journey, you sometimes feel like you're staring death in the face. And so in those moments when I just was wondering what kind of future I was going to have, I thought, if I never published another thing, what would be the thing I would publish? And it was that story, so that my kids could have it for their kids. And then it just blossomed. People loved it. It turned into a series, and it allowed me to lean into that creative dream of mine when I really couldn't do much for myself. So now that I'm on the other side of all that, here I am trying to be spicy Judy Blume.
Oh my gosh, I have like actual chills because, you know, my not gonna cry on on the podcast, but
It wouldn't be the first time you and I've done
I
that.
I know, right? But you know, you sit here and you said for anybody that had cancer knows when you're, like, staring death in the face and your thing was the last thing I'm gonna publish is gonna be the story for my kids and their kids, and that just oh my gosh. I don't even think you told me that through all of our coaching sessions. I don't even think that came out. I oh my gosh. Yeah, no, you definitely did not tell me that. I love that so much, and it just makes your stories even more raw and real for me. I mean, I love your work. I've helped you with quite a few of them and I think they're great, but to hear that part, I think you need to share that more because that is beautiful. Now, going over into the spicy Judy Bloom, tell us about this new venture that you are on.
Okay, so I mean, I've just had this story on my heart forever. I used to have I mean, everyone who's known me throughout my adult life, let's just say. I was trying to figure out how far back I wanted to go, but at least throughout my adult life knows that I've always wanted to be a writer. And my boss, before I retired, she even said something along the lines of, "You've been writing this story in your head for years." So that is mostly true. This character has lived with me for a long time. And while the titles of the book lend to the female character, I am finding as I'm writing, because by the way, book 1 and 2 are written. I'm writing the third and final book of the series now. I'm finding out that it's his story. So it's really a story about a tortured soul that doesn't believe he deserves love until he meets my female main character, and their attraction's undeniable, and he's really having to face those demons and what he really believes about himself.
You just put being an author like right on blast there that the characters kind of take over the story. It is what it is. You write, but they take over. It's the craziest things. And as you're typing, sometimes you're like, wait, where is this going? Who's even in control? Because
Yes.
that's just kind of how it is. As the story's progressing and as you're putting it onto paper, they're going to take control. And I just love the fact that it ended up being him. So when
Yeah.
I had read the pieces of the first book, it was all about her and you were very zoned in on her. So to hear that it has a twist at the end that this really is about him,
Yeah.
wow, how does that make you feel? Because that was
It's
not the story that you had in mind.
in book 2 has a crazy twist that I didn't even see coming. And in fact, it's in the hands of one of my OG beta readers right now. And I just keep waiting. I keep waiting for the DM. And so I always go, no spoilers here, but I'm waiting for that DM. Let me know when you hit it. I just am waiting because I think she's going to be like, what the hell did you just do?
Why did you change this so much? Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so as a genre hopper, we know in the space of being an author, it's very hard for marketing because you're attracting all different people. You have nonfiction, which is a very specific niche that you're targeting. Then
Yes.
you have your children's books, which are moms, teachers, and now you have you're in three different spaces. How are you finding the marketing to try to be this genre hopper?
It's really tough, especially as an indie author where you're just one person. I mean, there's a reason that people like Stephen King have minions because there are a lot of moving parts. So you just do what you can. The cool thing that I've learned about indie publishing is that if you get it right, if you play by the rules, Amazon will populate your book for you, for lack of a better term. I'm not saying that Amazon's going to sell it for you, but in the beginning with Chemo Pissed Me Off, like I just remember being in that writing community and just wanting everybody to help each other out. Let's all read each other's books. Let's all review each other's books. Let's, do all the things. Unfortunately, which you and I know because you have taught me a lot about social media, you're just confusing the algorithm. You don't need mom and auntie and the cousins and everybody reading your book. It's great if they need to and they want to. And, it's great if your friends need to and want to. It's not that you don't want that, but it does need its true audience. It does need its true fans because then the algorithm goes, I know exactly where that book goes. So then when somebody is searching for breast cancer and they're looking at all the stars that wrote books and they're looking at all of the doctors that wrote books and all the popular people, my book gets populated with those books because Amazon goes, that book fits right there. So that has taught me to not beg for numbers, not beg for likes, not beg for shares, not beg for reviews, to just tell the tale, talk to people, and the right audience will lean into that, whether it's through a hashtag or whether it's through an algorithm or whatever the case may be. But that's what I'm building now with fiction because fiction is extremely competitive. I'm trying to make sure that my book is in the right hands, that it finds its readers.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, Carol hit the nail on the head. Just like any algorithm, right? Like you can go onto social media and you can make a post and you can put it out and tell all of your friends and all of your mom and her friends to come like this post and help you. But the problem with what you just did, you were actually attracting mechanics. And now you just had all of these friends and moms and grandmas come and like your post about being a mechanic. And that is not pushing it out to the car people. So you have to think of it like whatever you're doing. Yes, it is slow to start. And we know who doesn't know that it is a grueling to start something and to start posting. But in that space is when you're finding the right people. So no, you're not, you might not get 10,000 followers overnight and you might get 10,000 followers in a couple years, but at least you're finding your audience. So when your book comes out or when your product comes out, you already have the people that want to go and buy it. You already have the people that are interested. That's who your followers are, people that are genuinely interested in your conversation and what you have to offer. So I think that was such a great tip to give because that is just something that I think we struggle with. We struggle with numbers. We live in a world where it's important for us. And it's like, oh my gosh, I only got I only got 100 likes. 100 people liked your post. Go outside and stand in front of 100 people and tell me that it's only 100 people.
That is probably one of my most favorite things that you've ever said to me, or, it was to the group, honestly, but I took that to the bank and it still lives rent free in my head, is that people want to they want to cry about the lack of numbers on a post or on anything that they're doing. And if you had 20 people that liked and commented on something you posted, let's say, that's 20 people that give a crap what you have to say. That's 20 people that cared enough about what you said to interact with you. And I think that's almost verbatim what you said. And I love that. Like that's 20 people. Like what if I had 20 book sales in a day? I mean, gosh, when I have two, I'm ecstatic. So,
Exactly, exactly. And I think that like we just get so caught up in this number game and we forget that numbers are actual humans. And I think that's where it's so important to remember. And, I used to say, even if you just had one follower, if you could change the life of that one follower and that one follower becomes such a dedicated fan of your product, of your business, of your books, dang, isn't that worth it? Like, isn't it worth it to have that support from just one person to believe in you that much?
I mean, that's the whole philosophy behind those nonfiction books, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, there were times I bawled through writing some of those chapters because who wants to relive that crap? I
Yeah.
mean, not me, but it's kind of like on the lighter side, it's like planning a wedding. You hope you only do it once, but you gain so much knowledge. Why wouldn't you pass it on? It's kinda like that with breast cancer, Like, I learned so much that I will always I'm not heavily marketing these books, I put them out there because I just wanted to share what I'd learned, and if it helps one person, great. But the one thing that I've noticed, even though I don't consider myself some type of, whatever cancer guru or whatever, I will always show up. I will always show up for somebody who's newly diagnosed and has questions, without hesitation. And, in the nonfiction world, I find a lot of people are building courses and they're doing consulting and they're doing all these things. And I could have gotten sucked into that, even sucked into, the possibility of a TEDx talk and, just a little 12-minute blip about that nutshells what my books are about, because I do have a lot to say. And when I do talk to somebody about cancer, I kind of watch their eyes glaze over. So I have been fine tuning how not to overwhelm people because they're probably already overwhelmed with the
Yeah.
diagnosis. But my point being is that I wrote those to just put them out there in case they help somebody. And so I'm not looking, I did get bestseller banners on both of them. So I can definitely say that they are Amazon bestsellers or have been Amazon bestsellers in the breast cancer category, which is not a small category. So that's a nice little feather in my cap, if you will. But it wasn't the reason I wrote those books. It was to just share what I learned in the hopes that it might help the next guy.
Yeah, and honestly, like this has been a theme in the conversations the past couple times is you just heard her say when you're genuinely putting things out there to help somebody is when things steamroll. When you're genuinely doing things and being like, "Hey, this happened to me." Even this and I remember our conversation. Even if this gets into the hand of just one person who's going through it because Brittany, I know how hard it is. That's exactly what you did. You got it out there and it became a bestseller and The difference between your books and most of the others is that you're coming in a space of you did it, you got through it, and you're still getting all of those emotions out and you're still helping them. When all the other spaces are doctors or medical fields and not so much somebody that survived it and is like, "Hey, I survived this. I'm going to relive this so you can kind of see how I got to this point." And I just think that's what made your stand out to me so different when we were doing the market research. And it's never an easy topic, obviously. It's just something I would never wish on my worst enemy. But the fact that you relived it and got bestseller banners and helped all these people, like, I just hope that you know how genuinely appreciative a lot of your readers are for what you've done.
I hope so. I mean, I even found that because journaling ended up being a big part of going through treatment, right? Because
Mhm.
one of the things that I say is that chemo is quite predictable. So once you learn what your good days are, you can plan your life. You can have a life, right? Knowing what's happening, and it doesn't have to be some intricate, detailed journal. It could just be today I felt like crap, or today was a good day, and that was day 4 after treatment. And then you can start. You know that day 4 after treatment might be a day that you get to go out in the world and feel normal again, maybe just for that one day, something like that. So I ended up creating a journal too. I mean, personally, as a writer, and I think you can attest, we're very picky about our journals. I mean, I might not use the journal that I put together for other people, but I needed a one-stop shop for somebody who felt overwhelmed, and they might have found my book and then they see the other items that go with it. And it was just like, let's get them all. Or even when I'm going to meet somebody that's newly diagnosed, I bring them all of it and explain what the journal is. Like, it doesn't have to be this heartfelt therapy session. It can just be, hey, today felt like crap. Today was a good day, or, whatever. Or, hey, I learned that this helps with the yucky taste, or whatever, this lotion
Yeah,
is really good for your skin, or whatever it is. But anyway, so I literally just did it in that helper mindset,
for sure. For
nothing more.
sure. And that's how you started. So you started in this helper mindset with that green flag, golden retriever, lovely husband of yours that pushed you to get started. So now you have your nonfiction. Then you had the death of the face moment where you wrote your children's books. Now you are writing your dream. You are writing from the heart of something that you genuinely wanted to do. Tell us about those characters.
Okay. Well, one thing I can tell you is that they do for me what I'm hoping they do for everyone else, because they absolutely take over my life in the way that when you're binging a show and you can't wait to get back to your next episodes, or
Yes.
any of those things, right? So that's how it feels. Like, I had a little scary moment where, like, a scan came back a little weird, and it could have sent me down the rabbit hole of stressing out until I got those results. Instead, I wrote the hell out of book 2 and got it done like way ahead of schedule, because I just dove right in and I just let them take me to another place. And they're just, there's a lot of muscles. There's a lot of heat. He's a personal trainer, so he's quite beautiful. She is starting over because she accidentally blew her life up in the town she grew up in and is looking for a fresh start. And she bumps quite literally into him when he's coming out of the sauna commando. So she gets to see him in all of his glory before she even knows his name. That's
Oh
the
my
meet cute of my romance, book 1, and things just escalate from there. So
I
at one
love it. I
at
love
one
it.
point,
It sounds like gonna be something that I am going to binge when they come
well,
out.
I hope so. I mean, like, I make jokes on social media, like, I think I put some kind of funny little thing on there, like, when the church folks find out the level of spice in my books, and then it's like, or whatever. And then when I send it to my editor, I'm like, the caveat is I recognize that an orgasm is not a plot line. So if they're doing it too much, could you let me know? Because I'm not trying to make it happen. They just are kind of busy. I don't know.
They took over. They took over the book yet again. My gosh. Okay, so now mentioning social media, how are you pivoting your marketing to be able to do all of these things?
So I'm leaning heavily into the fiction space right now, simply because that's what's coming next. I don't necessarily heavily market the nonfiction and the children's books. So one of the ways, my favorite way actually to promote my children's books, was to do school readings. So I haven't done those in a hot minute, but I've also been head down trying to get these books out because what I would like, being a debut fiction author, is I would like to drip the books in the series out every 6 to 8 weeks so that people don't have to wait around and they don't forget about that one little what's her name that published a book once. So I'm really hoping that I can keep my readers engaged from book 1 to book 3.
Yeah, no, that's the smartest thing to do. The smartest thing to do is to drip them out. And this way, I get what you're doing by keeping your fiction at hand because that's the one that you're writing with right now. Now, did you notice as you were doing this, right, and made the switch, was there any decline in your following whatsoever or unengagement from who's followed you before?
I haven't noticed much of that. In fact, I've noticed more followers, but in, again, the fiction/romance space. So I do think maybe people that don't read, that were maybe in my social sphere, maybe they don't interact with me as much, but I haven't necessarily noticed a decline in numbers per se, because even the engagement is either the same or maybe a little less, but it's just a different it's a different group of engaging people, so it's fiction authors, fiction readers, like, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I think it all works out, but one of the things I saw was a decline in the nonfiction sales. But what's weird, because now I've established the correct algorithm for those books, they populate on their own. So while I'm not running ads or I'm not heavily promoting them, they do sell. And so
Yeah.
that's interesting that they've found their little niche. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I want to go back to the fact that what you just said. So she's pivoted, right? And she's not losing followers. She's not really losing interaction. And it's because if you've ever looked at her account, she's also authentically herself and shows backgrounds in her day. So people also follow her for being her. And that's why it's so important in this space and in this business. What we talk about is you need to show you. You need to show the person behind the business because you might pivot like Carol did. You might just be like, oh, you know what? I'm selling totes today, but next week I'm going to go start selling beads. And it's like, you could pivot, but if you're also showing who you are as a person, sometimes people just stick around because they genuinely started liking following you. So I think that that's also something that we want to keep into perspective here because yeah, she's genre hopping. And like I said in the beginning, they're not the same target audience, but sometimes the audience is just, they're here to support Carol because they've liked what she's done before. And now they also could be invested in her journey of writing in all these different genres. So I just want to bring that to the forefront as well.
Absolutely. I have quite a few children's book social friends that I've met, that we all wrote children's books right around the same time and kind of learned that have responded to my newsletter and said, I know we met through children's books, but I am excited to read your fiction project. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's lovely. Like, I love that I found out that they like those kinds of books too, because let's face it, like, I definitely am a mood reader, so I'm very much in my contemporary romance era, but I've read a lot of things. Like, I've read fantasy, I've read like dystopian, I've read historical, like whatever. Even while I was writing nonfiction, I kind of was in a little bit of my nonfiction era, and I use that term loosely because I really don't like nonfiction. I'm just going to be frank. I want the information, but I don't want to read it. Like, if someone could just drip that into my brain, that would be great because I just read for fun.
I love it. I love it. No, it's so true. It's so true. I definitely am a mood reader as well. There's so many things that I love and then there's things that I'm like this is not for me. Let me just close this right back up.
Yeah, it's really weird that I mean, I've been a mood reader my whole life. I mean, I was a pretty good student. So, I mean, whenever there was assigned reading, I would take the 0, and it was really unfortunate because it was like, you can't tell me what to do. I mean, I might have liked that book at some point if you hadn't told me that I had to read it. I don't know.
So, Carol, for the women that are listening right now that really want to be an author, what would be your best advice on writing, right? Like you are writing in different genres altogether. So, how do you kind of switch between the two? Give us a little bit of feedback on all of your tips and trips for writing.
I mean, so the biggest tip for writing that I learned in the self-publishing space where I was learning to be how to self-publish was not to edit as I wrote. To literally get through the rough draft and stop going back and second guessing things. Like, I've noticed in fiction, I do have to go back and reread a little bit to kind of put myself back into the mood of where we were, but I try really hard not to edit it, even though I want to. So I would definitely say That's my biggest one for writing. The biggest one for marketing would be to make sure that you are leaning into your real audience and not being married to the numbers, because that's what's really hard. And even like the B side of that would be just keep doing it. Like keep posting. I think you taught me that. Like don't worry about the activity on it. Don't worry about the interaction on it. Get it out there. And so I've been leaning into that, like not being so careful about the stuff that I'm posting and not being so perfectionistic about it. And it's tough to do because, it's going out there for the masses. So, but yeah, so that would be what I would say for marketing. And then, I mean, you and I could talk about the mental and emotional aspect of it, because it is an absolute job to keep yourself motivated. This job could be lonely if you see it as that. I mean, I know we have a network of people and we do meet what we call our book besties out there in the world, and they're always there to hype us and whatnot, but there is an element of this that is just you and your laptop, and you better know what you're made of because there's going to be days where it's just going to be you and all of that stuff that's going on up there.
Oh my gosh, is that not the truth? It really can be lonely. And that's why it is so important to make sure that you guys are in communities and really trying to get yourself out there and find like minded people. It's so, so important. Now, Carol, what is your biggest, oh my gosh, I made it moment?
A beta reader highlighted something in a rough draft that had not even seen an editor and said, "This might be," by the way, she's a avid romance reader. She said, "This might be my favorite line I've ever read in a book." I'm good. I'm done. Thanks. Like, what do you want? You want my firstborn child? What do you want? Tell me. No, because that's what we're doing it for. We're writing these stories in the hopes that we make people feel what we feel when we read stories. Because, I mean, at least that's how it started for me. It started for me with a flashlight under the covers, hoping my mom wasn't going to bust me while I was trying to finish the book, and staying up past my bedtime, all the things, right? And it's just the way those books made me feel. I was like, I want to do that. I want to write stuff that makes people feel the way this book is making me feel right now. And that was, gosh, when I tell you I was a kid, I'm talking like fourth, fifth grade. Okay, nerd alert. I would rush through my schoolwork and I would write out play scripts for my friends and me to act out after school. I'm so glad I still don't have those somewhere because I,
Oh my goodness. How cool is it that you are literally living the dream that you have been dying to do for actual years?
yeah, and I feel like that's just the coolest thing, right? I've heard you say this on, podcasts and socials that, what's meant for you will find a way. And I think I'm living proof of that. Like of course you have to be open to it and you have to be, willing to put yourself out there and to lean into it, right? Like what is the saying? You can pray to win the lottery, but you got to buy a ticket. So, I mean, I was open to it. And what was meant for me, what I truly believe I was meant to do, what I was put on this earth to do, found its way to me eventually.
It is so unbelievably true. I mean, think about it. Nothing is ever linear. Just think about your paths and the way that you've walked. It just doesn't lead you to just one final destination. I think that's the coolest thing is that every single day we're finding ourselves, and in doing so, we're finding our dreams, which is just like wild to me. So now, Carol, you have hopped around a lot. Why romance? Tell us.
100%. Gosh. You know, I have always said this. So this sounds so cheesy and so idealistic, and I don't care. Um, Love really is the most important thing. And that's why I love romance. And that's why I always want to write it. And I don't care how cheesy and I don't care all the flack that romance gets. I don't care. I always, always want everyone to believe in happily ever after. I want everyone to believe in the power of love. And I want people to never give up on love, which is why I write broken characters who maybe think love doesn't exist for them and then they find it. And I mean, just on that note, you know how when you take those pre-marriage little questionnaire interview things before you get married, whatever they're called, it's been a minute. My husband and I have known each other literally 31 years this month. We started dating, so that's crazy. Um, I remember we couldn't have tested more opposite on those things. And so the pastor was like, guys, not sure this is a good idea. You guys are probably going to need professional counseling to sustain a marriage. And we're like, the hell you say? We're like, and I even said, I told him, this might sound super idealistic, but we plan to only do this once and we love each other. And it's true. I mean, we've flipped a house together early on. And if that didn't break us, nothing will. We're still complete opposites. We still like, I mean, it's like, I don't even know. It's like speaking two different languages sometimes. We're both saying the same thing, but we're saying it completely different. It's just, but yeah, we love each other. We love each other. I mean, he's my favorite human. I mean, I'd like to believe I'm his favorite human. And then the kids are always like, hey, what about us? And I'm like, hey, without him, there wouldn't be you. So he's still my number one.
Oh my gosh. Talk about opposites attracting. That is hysterical. I don't think I knew that. That is awesome. And as love, like I just happily ever after, that will always be such a pull. I love getting lost in those books, even like Hallmark. Like I just love watching them knowing I know the ending. I don't even care. They're just so captivating and I just love it so much. So I'm so excited for your books. And now the last question. What does being a money hungry mama mean to you?
Wow, let me think about this for a moment. I mean, being a money hungry mama means, I think, doing what it takes to show up as the mom that you want to be. So for me, for us back then, it was tightening our belts and living on one income and putting that dream on hold for a second. But look at me now.
Carol, look at you now. Oh my gosh. Honestly, you are such an inspiration for all of us. And I'm so excited that you were able to come on today and share everything. Where can our listeners support you?
I mean, I'm everywhere. I'm even on TikTok, but not greatly. Okay, so I am CM Wiley on everything, just about on Instagram, on TikTok. My website is www.cmwiley.com. My email address is cmwiley@yahoo.com. I mean, I have a newsletter. I can be found. I have a Facebook page. Carol, I think it's CM Wiley author or Carol Wiley author. Find me. Let's chat. I'm an open book and I love friends.
And as far as that romance series that we've heard so much about, where can we find those?
So it's available for pre-order right now. The book one of the Forever series is called Waiting Forever, and it is on pre-order. It is launching October 17th. And book two, as I said, is written, and it'll be up for pre-order as soon as it goes through editing. And book three is being written right now.
We will absolutely be on lookout. Carol, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you.
Yes, thanks, Brittany. I appreciate it.